There are many strong teams in the NBA, but every team has a big weakness that they just can't cover up. In this video, we will discuss the biggest weakness of each NBA team. So, let's get started. The Boston Celtics' biggest shortcoming this season is efficiency. Despite having a deep roster, their field goal percentage is ranked 12th in the league. They take a large amount of three-pointers, but rank only 14th in accuracy, which hampers their offensive flow when shots don't fall. Turnovers have increased compared to last season, while bench scoring has reduced, resulting to wasted opportunities. Inside the paint, they fail to finish while surrendering over 48 points per game. They also rank 19th in free throw attempts, missing out on easy scores. Defensively, their transition coverage is inadequate, enabling too many fast break buckets. Overall, Boston's instability arises from poor efficiency on both ends of the floor. The Dallas Mavericks' biggest vulnerability this season has been their reckless trade of Luka Doncic. Trading a 25-year-old superstar who just led them to the finals for an older Anthony Davis with an extensive injury history was strange. Davis went hurt almost immediately, and Kyrie Irving tore his ACL, ending his season after just a few games. Without its studs, Dallas slid to 10th in the Western Conference. Without clear direction and leadership, the roster feels fragmented and without a true star to carry them. Meanwhile, Luka is thriving with the Lakers, underscoring how horribly the move flopped. This lack of star power and stability remains the Mavericks' primary issue.
The Los Angeles Lakers' biggest vulnerability this season is their ongoing battle against the Denver Nuggets. In the 2023 Western Conference Finals, Denver swept the Lakers 4-0, with Nikola Jokic giving an outstanding performance, averaging nearly 28 points, 14 rebounds, and 12 assists per game. The next year, the Nuggets defeated the Lakers again in the first round of the 2024 playoffs, winning 4-1. Jokic continued to dominate, including a triple-double in Game 2, while Jamal Murray hit a vital game-winning shot in Game 5. Throughout the regular season, Denver's offense has surpassed the Lakers, averaging 120.8 points per game compared to the Lakers' 112.8. This continuous inability to match Denver's high-level play has become the Lakers' biggest issue and apparent weakness this season.
The Golden State Warriors' biggest problem this season has been their lack of a steady and reliable center. For almost a decade, this position has been a revolving door, preventing them from having a solid presence inside. Earlier, David Lee played out a position with defensive troubles, followed by Andrew Bogut, whose injuries hurt them during important occasions, like the 2016 Finals. Since then, the Warriors cycled through centers like Zaza Pachulia, JaVale McGee, and Kevin Looney, none of whom provided a long-term solution. Attempts to develop James Wiseman failed owing to injuries and insufficient playtime. This season, they rely on Looney, Trace Jackson-Davis, and Quinton Post, but none have made a meaningful impact. Their defense and rebounding are middling, and without a solid center, they struggle against more physical teams in important playoff situations.
The Philadelphia 76ers' biggest problem over the past 4 years has been Joel Embiid's health. While Embiid typically provides MVP-level performances when on the court, he has struggled to remain healthy and miss substantial time each season. Injuries like knee troubles, a damaged thumb ligament, and a broken orbital bone have often disturbed his play and the team's flow. In 2024, Embiid played only 19 games before sitting down due to knee concerns. Without him, the Sixers suffer greatly, falling to a 23-39 record compared to being a top 4 club when he's well. His absence hampers their defense, rebounding, and scoring, with no other center able to fill his role. Additionally, the failed Big Three experiment with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey impacted team chemistry and performance.
The New York Knicks' biggest problem this season has been their defense. Despite high expectations after adding Mikal Bridges and Karl Anthony Towns, their defensive rating slipped from 108.8 last season to 110.4, finishing just 10th in the NBA.
The loss of Mitchell Robinson for 50 games due to ankle surgery impacted their paint defense, allowing opponents to average 49.3 points per game near the basket, ranking 24th. Even with Robinson back, the Knicks have not recovered to their prior superior defensive level. Opponents are shooting 64.1% at the rim and making 36.8% of three-pointers against them, surrendering over 13 made threes a game. Their transition defense also suffers, giving up around 15 fast break points per game. Without defensive adjustments, their postseason aspirations could be in risk.
The Oklahoma City Thunder's biggest weakness this season is their lack of experienced expertise. Despite an outstanding 58-12 record, their team is dominated by youthful players like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 26, Jalen Williams, 24, and Chet Holmgren, 23. Aside from Alex Caruso, 31, and Isaiah Hartenstein, 27, the club lacks seasoned veterans to coach them during high-pressure moments. This inexperience showed in last year's playoffs when, despite being the top seed, the Thunder were defeated in the second round by Dallas. Analysts noted their failure to perform under playoff pressure as a crucial cause. While Caruso provides defensive leadership, the club needs more veteran voices to assist handle tight games and postseason intensity. Without that balance, their bright young core may struggle to reach the next level in the playoffs.
The Houston Rockets' biggest problem during Yao Ming's career was his frequent injuries. While Yao started strong, missing only 2 games in his first 3 seasons, injuries soon took a toll. He had surgery on his left big toe in 2005 and missed 21 games. In 2006, a right knee fracture sidelined him for 32 games. He also contended with stress fractures in his foot and other problems that limited his playing time. The worst happened during the 2009 playoffs when he broke his foot against the Lakers, ending his postseason. Despite being an 8-time All-Star and 5-time All-NBA player, Yao's health troubles prevented the Rockets from forging consistent chemistry and making long postseason runs, making injuries their main weakness.
The Houston Rockets' main problem has been the recurring ailments to their star, Yao Ming. Early in his career, Yao displayed exceptional durability, missing only 2 games from 2002 to 2005. However, starting in 2005, injuries began to take a toll. A surgery on his left big toe caused him to miss 21 games, followed by a right knee fracture in 2006 that sidelined him for 32 games. Further injuries, including stress fractures in his feet and a fractured foot during the 2009 playoffs, kept him off the court at vital times. Despite his talent and 8 All-Star appearances, these health difficulties prevented the Rockets from forging team cohesiveness and making long playoff runs, making Yao's injuries their major drawback.
Chicago Bulls.
Since Michael Jordan's retirement in 1998, the Chicago Bulls have battled to recover their former splendor. After winning 6 championships, the club faced a steep downturn as important members, including coach Phil Jackson, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman, left. From 1998 to 2004, they missed the playoffs 6 straight seasons. Although draft picks like Elton Brand and Tyson Chandler offered hope, the Bulls lacked consistency. The Derrick Rose era produced excitement and an MVP award in 2011, but injuries hindered deep playoff campaigns. Since 2015, the team has mainly been average, making few postseason appearances and often exiting early. Finding a new identity and building a championship contender post-Jordan remains their biggest problem. The Minnesota Timberwolves' biggest shortcoming has been their struggle to find a dependable point guard over the previous decade. Ricky Rubio brought hope in 2011, but was limited by injuries and was moved in 2017. After him, guys like Chris Dunn and Tyus Jones failed to grow into reliable floor generals. D'Angelo Russell produced scoring but lacked efficiency and defense. Mike Conley's arrival in 2023 helped stabilize the squad, but at 37, his performance is fading. Injuries have also hampered Monty Morris's performances. The club largely rely on striker Anthony Edwards, who is not a great playmaker. This lack of a solid and veteran point guard hinders their late-game offense and overall success, making it their biggest weakness heading into the playoffs.
The Memphis Grizzlies' biggest vulnerability has been their struggle to finish strong in the playoffs, whether during the grit and grind era and again with Ja Morant leading the team. Between 2010 and 2017, they made 7 consecutive playoff trips but never reached the NBA Finals. Their stout defense and inside game aided in the regular season, but they lacked offensive firepower to cope with modern high-scoring teams. Injuries to important players like Mike Conley and Marc Gasol also held them back. Currently, despite a good regular season with 56 victories in 2022, injuries to Morant and Desmond Bane, along with uneven clutch performance, continue to limit their postseason success. The Grizzlies remain close, but still haven't broken through to an NBA Finals berth.
The Denver Nuggets, despite current NBA champions, nevertheless have a few critical shortcomings. Their primary issue is depth. After losing Bruce Brown and Jeff Green, their bench lacked scoring punch and defensive intensity, putting added strain on the starting five. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are excellent, but they can't do it all alone, especially over an 82-game season plus playoffs. Murray's past injuries also raise worries about long-term durability. Additionally, the Nuggets sometimes suffer against fast-paced teams with powerful backcourts, especially on transition defense. If they want to repeat, they must enhance their bench and manage their stars' workload carefully.
The Los Angeles Clippers' main problem stems in their lack of longevity, aging core, and dubious postseason resilience. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are all-star talents, but their regular injuries break team chemistry and limit postseason potential. Even with James Harden's arrival, the club still suffers with consistency and late-game execution. The Clippers also lack fresh energy and agility off the bench, making them vulnerable against faster, younger opponents. Defensively, they can't always keep up with elite wings. Without continued health and greater bench performance, their championship prospects remain precarious.
The Miami Heat's main vulnerability this season has been the absence of a legitimate superstar since dealing Jimmy Butler in early 2025. Butler was the clear leader, taking the team to several Eastern Conference Finals and 2 NBA Finals trips from 2020 to 2023. Without him, Miami has struggled to maintain consistency, especially against top-tier clubs. Tyler Hero has stepped up, scoring 23.8 points per game, but he is not yet at Butler's level. Bam Adebayo contributes with 19.2 points and 10 rebounds per game, but has never been the primary scoring option. This absence of a go-to player restricts Miami's ability to deliver in crucial occasions and deep playoff runs, keeping their ceiling lower than in past years.
The Detroit Pistons' main problem over the previous decade has been their protracted run of poor performance and unpredictability. After continuously making the playoffs from 2002 to 2008, the squad fell into an extended slump starting in 2009. Between 2009 and 2023, the Pistons missed the playoffs in 12 out of 14 seasons, with only 2 winning seasons during that time. They struggled to assemble a competitive roster, despite cycling through multiple coaches and young players. The 2022 season was exceptionally bad, with a 17-65 record, the lowest in the league. Although the club has recently shown signs of improvement, led by Cade Cunningham, the lasting repercussions of years of turmoil and lack of success remain their primary drawback.
The Orlando Magic's biggest shortcoming this season has been their inconsistent shooting, which has hampered their offensive potential despite gains in other areas. While their defense has increased and their overall record improved, they remain one of the league's worst shooting teams. The Magic sit at the bottom in three-point percentage at just 31.5%, making only 11.8 three-pointers per game.
Key players like Paolo Banchero and Franz Wagner have struggled with consistency from beyond the arc, shooting 38.1% and 33.2% respectively. Their big free agent signing, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, has likewise been a letdown, hitting just 32% from three-point range. Even their free throw shooting stands near the bottom of the league at 74.8%. Until their shooting improves, the Magic's ceiling remains capped.
The Milwaukee Bucks' biggest problem this season is their over-reliance on Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard. Giannis scores 30.8 points per game, while Lillard contributes 25.8, together making up about half the team's output. However, beyond these two studs, the supporting players have struggled. Brook Lopez, at 36 years old, is slowing down, and the bench, led by Bobby Portis, ranks 22nd in scoring. Defensively, the club has plummeted without Drew Holiday's perimeter defense. Age and injuries also pose issues, with limited depth beyond Lopez at center. Sitting 6th in the Eastern Conference with a 36-27 record, the Bucks' lack of regular support beyond their stars restricts their prospects against stronger challengers.
The Indiana Pacers' biggest shortcoming this season is inconsistency. With a 35-28 record and 6th position in the Eastern Conference, their performance typically fluctuates significantly. Offensively, they average 116.2 points per game, but their three-point shooting swings from over 40% to below 20%. Tyrese Halliburton shares this unpredictability, averaging 18.5 points and 9 assists, but battling with shooting slumps and back problems. Defensively, they have improved, but still allow too many points on poor nights and rank 25th in total rebounds, giving up numerous second-chance points. Injuries have piled up, and without constant contributions from their players and reserves, this unpredictability remains their biggest weakness moving into the playoffs.
The Charlotte Hornets' biggest issue is their long playoff drought, missing the postseason for 8 straight seasons since 2016 to 2017. They have struggled to develop a winning culture and have concluded with losing records. Despite close calls in the 2021 and 2022 play-in tournaments, they failed to advance. The squad features bright young talents like LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller, but hasn't been able to create a strong, competitive roster. This lack of playoff experience has held them back from developing momentum and confidence. The extended absence from significant postseason competition remains their major shortcoming, restricting their potential to evolve and compete at a higher level in the NBA.
The Sacramento Kings' biggest flaw has been failing to win a championship during their early 2000s prime. From 2000 to 2004, they were among the league's best teams, with talents like Chris Webber, Peja Stojakovic, Mike Bibby, and Doug Christie. In the 2002 Western Conference Finals, they led the series 3-2 against the Lakers, but lost a contentious Game 6, with many charging unfair officiating. This loss robbed them the chance to reach the NBA Finals and earn a title. After it, injuries and roster changes led to their collapse. Despite having a good team, their failure to finish strong and win key games remains the worst shortcoming in franchise history.
The Phoenix Suns' main problem has always been their inability to go over the hump in the playoffs. During the Steve Nash era, they possessed one of the strongest offenses in NBA history, yet consistently fell short of capturing a title. They reached the Western Conference Finals many times, but never made it to the NBA Finals. Later, under Chris Paul's guidance, the Suns finally reached the NBA Finals in 2021, gaining a 2-0 lead against the Bucks, but then lost 4 straight games and squandered their shot at a title. Despite successful regular seasons with 62 and 64 wins in 2005 and 2022 respectively, injuries, defensive issues, and tough opponents have prevented them from finishing the job. Not winning the championship remains their biggest problem.
The San Antonio Spurs' biggest vulnerability this season is balancing youth and age.
They rely on teenage talent Victor Wembanyama, who averages 24 points, 11 rebounds, and nearly 4 blocks per game, but is still growing and presently out with a shoulder injury. On the other hand, veteran Chris Paul, at 39, is past his prime, with limited scoring and defense. The roster mixes inexperienced players with aged veterans, generating inconsistency. Without Wembanyama, the squad struggles to compete and stands 11th in the Western Conference. This lack of defined identity and leadership between their potential young and elderly stars remains their major issue this season.
The Atlanta Hawks' biggest shortcoming is their inability to reach the NBA Finals since moving to Atlanta in 1968. While they made the Finals 4 times as the St. Louis Hawks and won the championship in 1958, they have not returned since relocation. They came close in 2015 with 60 wins, but were swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the conference finals. In 2021, led by Trae Young, they pushed the Milwaukee Bucks to 6 games but lost. Frequent coaching changes, roster churn, and missed draft picks have hindered their progress. Despite picking Zachary Risha first overall in 2024, the Hawks' primary issue remains their struggle to break through and make a finals appearance.
The Toronto Raptors' biggest problem in recent years has been losing Kawhi Leonard after their 2019 championship run. Kawhi was the Finals MVP and the team's best player, and his departure in free agency significantly hampered their hopes of constructing a dynasty. Although the Raptors still possessed a good core with Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby, they lacked a real number 1 player. Following Kawhi's leaving, the team's performance deteriorated drastically. They missed the playoffs in 2021 and struggled with injuries and disruptions, including the COVID-19 pandemic and having to play home games in Tampa. Kawhi's departure remains the worst loss in Raptors history, since it destroyed their title ambitions and altered the team's trajectory.
The New Orleans Pelicans' biggest issue this season has been injuries to key players. Zion Williamson played only 24 games due to various health reasons. DeJounte Murray suffered a season-ending Achilles injury after 26 games. Herb Jones appeared in just 11 games due to a shoulder issue. Brandon Ingram missed 38 games before being traded, while Trey Murphy also missed substantial time. These injuries produced inconsistency and poor performance, leading to an 18-51 record and early elimination from postseason contention. The absence of its core players affected team cohesion and competitiveness, making injuries the Pelicans' main issue this season.
The Utah Jazz's biggest shortcoming this season has been their lack of a distinct identity. Sitting in the bottom of the Western Conference with a 15-53 record, they struggle to create a consistent playing style. Their offense is middling, scoring an average of 112.8 points per game, ranked 20th in the league, while their defense is fragile, allowing 114.2 points per game, ranked 18th. Donovan Mitchell leads the club but hasn't fully embraced a franchise player position. The squad is a mix of veterans and young players, but without a dedicated approach toward rebuilding or contending, the team is stagnant. Coach Will Hardy focuses on development, but until the Jazz establish a defined structure and culture, their troubles will persist.
The Brooklyn Nets' biggest issue this season has been their lack of a clear identity and long-term direction. Finishing with a disappointing record, the team struggled with both an inconsistent offense and a defense that often failed to compete. While promising talents like Cam Thomas and McCall Bridges showed flashes of brilliance, the absence of veteran leadership and a true superstar left the roster unbalanced. Mid-season trades hinted at a rebuilding phase, disrupting team chemistry and further weakening performance. Young players found it difficult to adjust to the NBA's pace, and injuries only added to the instability. Frequent coaching changes and a constantly shifting roster prevented the team from building any real cohesion or rhythm. The lack of experience, vision, and structure has placed Brooklyn firmly in a rebuilding stage. Moving forward, the franchise must focus on player development and establishing a strong culture to return to competitiveness.
The Washington Wizards endured a disastrous 2024-25 NBA season, finishing with a franchise-worst 18-64 record. Their struggles were rooted in poor overall performance, marked by inefficiency on offense and consistent breakdowns on defense. Offensively, the team averaged just 112.4 points per game, while surrendering 116.2 points to opponents, ranking near the bottom in both categories. They often lacked energy and focus, leading to frequent blowouts and lopsided defeats. Injuries to key players, including rising star Bilal Coulibaly, who missed significant time due to a hamstring issue, only deepened the team's woes. The roster lacked veteran leadership and chemistry, and their inability to perform against stronger teams exposed the need for a more stable foundation. However, despite the grim season, the Wizards remain optimistic about their future. With young talents like Alex Sarr and Trey Johnson entering the fold, the franchise has shifted its focus to long-term development. The front office is committed to a full rebuild, hoping to create a cohesive and competitive squad through draft picks, player growth, and a renewed culture centered around youth and resilience.
The Portland Trail Blazers faced significant struggles during the 2024-25 NBA season, with their most glaring issue being inconsistent three-point shooting. While the team took a high volume of three-point attempts, they consistently ranked near the bottom of the league in shooting percentage, especially in catch-and-shoot scenarios. This inefficiency had a direct impact on their offensive rhythm and spacing, making it difficult for them to generate reliable scoring opportunities. Young guard Scoot Henderson, expected to be a cornerstone of the rebuild, showed flashes of brilliance with his speed and playmaking, but his development was hindered by inconsistent shooting and decision-making. Similarly, other young players lacked the consistency needed to stabilize the team's performance. On the veteran side, Jeremy Grant and DeAndre Ayton had up-and-down seasons, with injuries and varying levels of effort affecting their impact on both ends of the floor. The Blazers also struggled with roster stability, as injuries forced frequent changes in rotations and disrupted any momentum they managed to build. Despite some improvements in competitiveness and energy compared to previous seasons, Portland's inability to hit threes and maintain consistency ultimately kept them from contending. Looking forward, the Blazers must prioritize improving their perimeter shooting and fostering growth among their young core. Without solving their shooting woes and addressing lineup instability, Portland's hopes of returning to playoff relevance and making a deep postseason run will remain distant. Rebuilding with a clear identity and shooting efficiency should be central to their strategy.
Although every NBA team has weaknesses, those who manage to tackle them can shine in the playoffs. If you want more team analyses, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.